Welcome to Beat Diabetes. I'm Dennis Pollock, and today's kind of a special day for me because I signed a contract with Harvest House Publishers for my fourth book. I told you earlier I was intending to write another book about diabetes and how to beat it, how to whip that sucker in 6 months. And at the time, I was intending to just do an Amazon book. You can really get Amazon to work with you, and without very much trouble at all, you can have your books on Amazon. Even if you only sell 2 books a month, Amazon will put up with you, and when people order them, they'll print on demand and send it out. So no muss, no fuss. So I had thought that Harvest House was done with me. I hadn't heard from them in a long time. Wasn't sure, didn't think they were printing any of my books anymore. Thought the printing had all stopped. And then someone sent me, not so long ago, a picture. They emailed me a picture of a bunch of my books, 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar, that were on sale at Amazon, on sale at Walmart. And so I thought, well, that's very odd. I didn't think Walmart was ever selling my books. So anyway, recently the CEO of Harvest House was going to be in the Dallas area, and he sent me an email and wanted to get together with me. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I thought you'd forgotten all about little Dennis Pollock. But he came with a couple of his people that worked with him. And we had a nice breakfast and talked about books by me. So they were interested, and I mentioned that I was thinking about writing a book that I was planning to do through Amazon, and they were ready to grab hold of it, and they were excited. So their excitement got me excited, and here we are. I'm about to write my fourth book on diabetes. Who would have thunk it? A little simple guy like me, without any kind of medical degree or any kind of education in being a health professional, just a preacher, and yet I've now looks like I will have written 4 books on diabetes. The second one, 60 Ways to Lower Your Blood Sugar, that is sold over 250,000 copies. I think we're getting close to 300,000. The first one sold 100,000 plus. I think maybe 140,000 or so. Third one didn't do so well, and I thought, well, they got kind of fed up with me after the third one didn't sell so well. I thought it was a good book, but somehow it didn't have the title appeal, I guess. And so I thought, well, they're done with me. If I do a book, it'll be through Amazon. And then lo and behold, here we go again. So the book is got a working title. I say working title because your title is in the hands of your publisher, but they liked it. And if the CEO likes your title, it's probably going to stay either that or something close to it. So the title is Reverse Diabetes in 6 Months, with a subtitle, A Step-by-Step Plan to Become Non-Diabetic in 185 Days. I feel like that is something that's going to grab the attention of diabetics for sure. But that's not really the issue, is whether it'll get people interested or even whether it'll sell books. The question is, will this plan actually work? And I thought I'd just review quickly with you. This is going to be hopefully a relatively short video. But just review the chapters, give you a little foreshadowing of what this book will be about. Now, don't expect it to be out anytime soon. The contract says I should have the manuscript done and in their hands by November 30th of this year. So, and then it's going to take another, 6 to 9 months, probably 9 months before it starts popping out on the bookstore shelves and the stands and Walmart and so forth. So it's not like it's going to be out soon. So let's go over some of these chapters that I sent them kind of an outline of what I intended to do. I won't guarantee the book will be exactly like this, but it will be along these lines. So chapter 1 is why it's not just possible, but likely. And that, of course, is where I'm coming from. I can't guarantee anything. Who am I to guarantee anything? Nobody really can. I don't care whether you're a doctor, a nutritionist, or a preacher like me. You cannot guarantee someone can overcome diabetes. But what I can say is, based on my experience, it's likely. It's more than likely for a type 2 diabetic to get an A1C below 6.5 in 6 months' time if you go about it the right way. More than likely. No guarantees, but most likely it will happen. And why do I say that? Because I have seen it again and again and again. We've got all kinds of testimonies on this channel. Just go through some of our videos. And there's testimony after testimony of people that went from a 12, a 10, an 8, A1C, down into the 5s or the low 6s. It just happens all the time, and it's not just me. Go to Dr. Jason Fung's channel or his books, and he can share testimony after testimony. And so many of these guys that proclaim and teach and encourage a low-carbohydrate diet along with some time-restricted eating, they can just share just dozens of testimonies. It's kind of like a proud parent with pictures of their kids. They can just whip out those testimonies and share one after another. So it is likely, and we'll start the book with just telling why it's likely that this will be their case. Because if you don't think it's likely, why would you do it? If you think, well, okay, I'm going to try this plan, but I bet you there's about a 90% chance of failure and a 10% chance of success. Most people wouldn't do it for that. But if on the other hand, you say, well, I think if I follow this plan, I've got about an 80 to 90% chance of success, and I'll be below diabetic markers and numbers by 6 months. If that doesn't motivate you, I don't know what would. And I think it's absolutely true. Most people will be below the 6.5 diabetic A1C. That's what America considers a diabetic in 6 months' time. Most type 2s, mind you, and really a type 1 can as well, but that's just a whole different critter, and that's not what this is about. So chapter 2, what's going on in your body. And one of the things I'm going to emphasize is, especially in the first month, this is going to be a little different than the way some of you have tackled beating diabetes, because I'm not going to encourage you to jump in both feet first. I'm going to encourage you to slow down a little bit, those that are wanting to do this plan, and start testing their blood sugar and finding out what's happening in your body. And I'm going to encourage, and in the book, I'm going to have pages where you can write down your blood sugar results. Particularly post-meal results. I'm all about post-meal tests. And of course, A1Cs and fasting glucose. But a post-meal test, to me, if you had to just do one kind of a test, I think a post-meal test could be more powerful and more motivational than an A1C, because it gives you immediate feedback. And you eat a meal of macaroni and cheese with a baked potato and have some apple pie afterwards, and your blood sugar jumps up to 300. And that's going to tell you something. Then the next night you eat a Cobb salad and have several slices of cheese, and your blood sugar hardly moves at all. You talk about motivation, you're going to get it. So in the first month, I'm going to encourage people to kind of slow down on the carbs, but I'm going to actually encourage them. You heard that right, folks. I'm going to encourage them to have 7 high-carb meals and test their blood sugar about an hour and 15 minutes afterwards, and test it before they eat, and see what kind of a spike they get. But then I'm also going to encourage them to have 7 low-carb meals and do the same test before and an hour and 15 minutes afterward. And then I'm going to ask them to average the results and see the difference between what low-carb meals do to your body and your blood sugar and high-carb meals do. And, you know, I know this is basic, and some of you are thinking, well, duh, Dennis, of course, the low-carb meals are not going to provoke blood sugar, and like the high-carb ones will, and that's true. But, you know, when you start out coming home from the doctor with the diagnosis of diabetes, you don't know that. You know hardly anything. When I first had diabetes coming after me, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. I remember one time I had what I thought was a healthy meal and something that wouldn't spike my blood sugar, and it was some salmon and some green beans and a large banana. And it jumped up too high. It wasn't terribly high, but it was much higher than I was expecting. I thought, well, isn't that odd? This is like the healthiest meal ever. Salmon and green beans and a banana. And then because I was just ignorant. And somewhere I looked up bananas and how much carbs they had. I realized they had about as many carbs and sugars in them as a candy bar. And I learned something that way. So yeah, some of this is going to be really basic, but that first month, I'm just encouraging people to test their blood sugar with 7 high-carb meals, 7 low-carb meals, and see where it goes and build some motivation to follow the plan. So this is month 1 is motivational month. We'll have a chapter about the basic diet that will be allowed. And for these 6 months, I'm going to forbid the use of keto foods of any kind, because some people, they just abuse keto foods. And I'm not going to tell you I don't occasionally have keto foods and a low-carb tortilla, but these 6 months, this is basic training. This is like you just joined the Marines and you're going through basic training, and it's going to be tougher on you than about any other thing. Then you can kind of ease into something that's maybe a little bit nicer and with more choices. But it's going to be tough. So the basic diet is going to be meats, high-carb dairy, high-fat dairy, not high-carb. High-fat dairy, like heavy cream, like cheese, but not the little wrapped packages of cheese. Get the blocks of cheese. And so cream, cheese, butter. Butter's fine. All the things that they told us about 30 years ago were terrible are actually the best things you can eat. So we'll go into the basic diet, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And but we're not going to still yet get to the point where everything's forbidden. You're going to ease on into that. And so for the first 2 months, you're going to just take it easy and learn and start modifying your diet gradually. Now, by month 3, you're going to be on the full diet, which is like really low carb. And you won't have as many choices. I've done some of our challenges where I pointed people to different places on the internet, people that could tell you how to make all these fancy keto meals. But this is going to be much simpler. And you're not going to have to fuss or have too much worry about your meals. But you're still going to have options. So the diet will be simpler, and it will be very, very powerful. By month 2, they'll start moving to either a 6 or an 8-hour window of eating with no snacks. So they're going to drop the snacks. They're still not on the full diet. That doesn't come till month 3, but they're moving that way. So it's a gradual process, but they will go to a window of eating, 6 or 8 hours, and they'll stop snacking altogether. No late night snacks, no mid-meal snacks, in-between meal snacks, just no snacks. You just have your 2 or 3 meals, and that's it. And then by month 3, they get into the full diet, which is sugar-free, starch-free, rice-free, potato-free, eating just the things that hardly move blood sugar. And by that point, they will have already moved down into lower blood sugar, most likely. But if they haven't, they sure will once they start this. So it's basically going to be like a program to get you from where you are, A1C of 8, 10, 12, 14, to below 6.5. Become non-diabetic in 6 months. And really, 2 of those months, you're not even working that hard at it. It's like the first couple of months, you're learning and gradually moving in the lower direction of carbohydrate. But it's not till month 3 that you really start taking it seriously. So you got months 3, 4, 5, and 6, 4 good months where you're going at it real hard. But the first 2, you're learning, you're modifying, you're adjusting your diet. The actual book won't be around for probably a year and 9 months or so, but we're starting it. And the truth is, you don't need the book. There's all kinds of videos on my channel, along with great videos by Dr. Fung, great books, The Diabetes Code by Dr. Fung. I'm going to recommend that in my book, that people get that. I think it's a great, great book. And Dr. Bernstein, of course, and his blood sugar solution. The material is there. There's no lack of it. There's almost nobody in America. Now, maybe if you live in some remote village in Africa or India, you may not be able to get any of this stuff. But if you're watching me, that means you can watch YouTube, and that in itself can be the education you need. So there's a way, there's a path for you, my friend, no matter where you are or what your resources are, whether you have money to buy a lot of books or very few books or no books at all. The resources are there. The information is there. And for most people, you just need a little information and a little motivation, and you'll be off to the races. And the next thing you know, the doctor will be saying, well, I've got some good news for you. According to these numbers, you're no longer diabetic. And that will be sweet to hear. Benedict and I have a Bible study podcast that's available on most podcast platforms. We bring you to our home to join us in our morning Bible studies. We cover all kinds of biblical topics in a simple, down-to-earth manner. The podcast is called Discover the Word with Den and Ben. Now, because a podcast is strictly audio, you can listen to it as you work around the house. You don't have anything to watch, or as you exercise at the gym or drive in your car. Type the words Discover the Word with Den and Ben in your favorite podcast platform, and you should be able to find us.